Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Oh my gosh, when I did that, I will admit, I am a huge fan of sports bras. So, I've got some heavy girls, right? So when I did that, my boobs just shook from side to side. Anyways, I just do not do the underwire thing. And at one point, Victoria's Secret had a really, really good, expensive, supportive sports bra that fit me really well. And then they barely changed it, and it just totally changed the whole way that it fit. So, dang it. Okay, anyways, today I wanted to make a video on how I regulated my cycle after an over 150-day cycle. So, quick backstory, then I'm just going to jump right into what I did to help regulate it. Now, granted, it hasn't been 28 to 30 days since I had my last cycle to know if it's actually for sure regulated for each month. However, I did do a lot of things. I was very proactive in getting my period back after coming off birth control. And before birth control, I had very regular cycles. So let me do a quick intro kind of deal, and then I'll just jump right into it. So I started birth control when I was in high school. And it was for the reason of I just was not having regular periods. I'd have about 3 periods a year, maybe. And at the time, they attributed it to being so active. I was involved in sports every day. Was on birth control for about 10 years is what I added up. And this last August, so August of 2018, I stopped taking birth control because I knew that my husband and I wanted to try to have a baby. And I wanted to give my body a couple months to regulate itself. Well, the reason that I didn't have my period before is obviously not the reason I don't have it now. I am not as active as I was, not even a fraction of it, unfortunately. So I knew, which I kind of knew all along, there was more to it than just being active. I don't think that should cause someone to not have a period for 3 to 4 months. But anyways, so after a couple of months, I was like, okay, I'm going to start looking into what I can do to regulate my cycle, balance the hormones in my body to allow it to hopefully do what it's supposed to be doing. So I did a lot of research, was researching a bunch of different supplements, different ways to kind of sort of tweak my lifestyle to hopefully advocate for a better balance of hormones, I guess you could say. So here we are in February of 2019, and I had my first period after coming off birth control in August of 2018. That is a long time. Very frustrating, very confusing, particularly when you are wanting to get pregnant. It is so incredibly hard to track your fertile window when you don't have a period to go off of, so you have no idea when you're ovulating, and if you do or do not know, you can only get pregnant when you ovulate. So, very stressful. My main goal, obviously, was to regulate my cycle because I knew my body needed it. It's a cleansing way that our bodies get rid of certain things that it needs to get rid of. So, that was important. And the second most important thing to me was to know that I'm ovulating, and if so, to be able to more efficiently track my ovulation so we could reduce the amount of stress related to conceiving. So there's a couple things on my list that I did that I believe definitely affected me getting my period back. Whether it stays regular, we will definitely see. I hope it just reduces the amount of days a little bit. But I really think that the steps that I took helped in regulating my cycle. So if there's any of you out there that have a very irregular cycle, whether it's 10 days over the typical cycle, a day over the typical cycle, or you're like me and you have 3 to 4 periods a year, definitely tune into this. I'm obviously not a medical professional. I'm not suggesting you do this, but I'm telling you what worked for me and maybe it'll work for you. So the first thing I did was started researching supplements. I knew my body obviously wasn't balanced hormone-wise, so I wanted to see if there was anything out there that was natural, that wasn't going to hurt me by any means, but would also help promote hormone balance in my body. One thing that I saw all over the place, there was a lot of testimonies that worked for a bunch of people, was Vitex. So Vitex is derived from a plant. and it's been around for a long time. It's said to help women with hormone balance and boost fertility. So I did a lot of research on it. Couldn't really find a bunch of things that would make me stray away from it. So I started Vitex in November. And this is the brand that I got. I found it off of Amazon. It's Nature's Way Vitex. There's 320 capsules, 400 milligram doses, and in each capsule there's 400 milligrams. So the next thing I did was research the recommended amount to take, and it's definitely different from person to person. I played around with it a little bit until I was comfortable with what I wanted to take. The recommendation says take 1 capsule 2 or 3 times daily for 8 to 12 weeks. Thereafter, take 1 capsule daily. So basically you could take anywhere from 800 to 1,200 milligrams is what it recommended on the bottle. I took 2 capsules. Let's see. I think I'll have to check. But anyways, I think I took 2 capsules a day. I started out with 1 capsule a day for a week just to get my body used to what I was about to do. And then took 2 capsules a day. So that's the first supplement. The next supplement I started taking was like a conception prenatal. So I'd read a bunch of things where people suggested taking a prenatal prior to you wanting to conceive, because it just basically sets your body up to be able to maintain a healthy pregnancy and give your body all the vitamins and nutrients it needs for healthy pregnancy in the case that you are deficient in some of them. So bunch of research on 1, the minerals and vitamins and nutrients that was necessary for a healthy pregnancy. 2, I looked up what us as women in general are deficient in, so I can make sure to pinpoint a few of those, and went through a bunch of different prenatals that I thought would work, and then put them all up on my screen on the ingredients tab, looked at which ones had the most ingredients that I wanted to be in it, and I went with that one. So the one that I found was the Conception brand, also found off of Amazon, and it is a female fertility prenatal. Comes with 60 capsules. You take 2 capsules a day, and it has a bunch of great things in it like vitamin D, riboflavin, I always say that wrong, vitamin B6, folate, vitamin B12, zinc, magnesium, selenium, and then it also includes a little bit of Vitex, as well as myoinsitol, which is something I will make a separate video on. I actually just purchased a myoinsitol, if I'm saying that right, a supplement that I'm going to start taking that basically aids and helps you to ovulate. So that was very important for me, knowing that I don't have a very regular cycle. So started taking the Conception prenatal along with the Vitex. Now I had to be careful because the Conception did include some Vitex, so I wanted to make sure that I wasn't taking too much of the Vitex with the Conception. I started off staying with the amount that I was taking of my Vitex and taking the recommended dose of the Conception prenatal, and noticed that it caused swelling in my legs and my feet. So I reduced the Vitex and just took 1 capsule a day and maintained my 2 capsules a day of the Conception, and that seemed to balance out really well. Didn't have any side effects of it, so that is what I did. So those are the 2 supplements related to hormone balance that also happen to aid in fertility that I take. I take a few other supplements as well, which I will link one of my videos that I did on the research of all the vitamins that your body needs to maintain a healthy pregnancy, as well as all of the supplements that I take right now, with the exception of myoinsitol, which I just started adding, but I will link that video up here and also at the end of the video if you want to watch it. It's got a lot of great information too. So those are the 2 supplements I've taken that I think have really helped regulate my cycle and balance all of my hormones. The next thing that I changed was sleep. I love to sleep, but I wanted to make sure that I was getting good sleep. So in order to do that, I had to kind of reduce my stress level a little bit, which I'm not a super stressed person anyways. However, knowing that we were going to start trying to have a baby, that was kind of stressing me out because I wasn't having a period. I was worried I wasn't ovulating. So I really focused on, okay, stress obviously is not good for my body. It's not going to help me in any form. So I just want to make sure that I'm reducing it. So everyone has their own ways of doing that. YouTube actually has helped me with that a lot. So whatever way you can find to help reduce your stress, you will get a little bit better sleep. And sleep is very important for regulating your hormones, because when you are sleeping, your body just kind of restarts and does all the little checking it needs to do on, you know, what we're missing on our body, and just basically restart you for the next day. So sleep is very important. Next thing was I increased my water intake. Water is so incredibly important for a bunch of things, obviously, but when you're particularly looking at balancing any kind of hormone in your body and preparing for having a baby or trying to conceive, it is absolutely incredibly important that you get enough water. I am so guilty of not drinking enough water. So what I did was I went to Walmart, bought the big gallons of purified water, took them to work, and just drank as much as I can. Sounds super silly, but I drink water and any kind of beverage a lot better when there's like some kind of straw. And I really like the Camelback like mug things. I drink water out of those a lot, so I just got one of those that I keep at work, and I refill it throughout the day. So water is very important. I can't stress that enough. Next thing is I kind of changed a few things about my diet, particularly for fertility. I looked up a bunch of different foods that aid and boost fertility, whether that is foods that include certain vitamins and minerals that are necessary for a healthy pregnancy. I added those to my diet, which most of them I ate anyways, so I mainly tried to focus on those, cut out really unhealthy foods. So I changed my diet a little bit, which really helped, I think, kind of balance my body. So diet is very important, obviously, for anything, especially when you're trying to balance hormones in your body to get your period back. So did that. Next thing was I cut out soda. I wasn't a huge soda drinker anyways, but if we went out to dinner, I would get soda. On the weekends, I would drink soda, and occasionally I would get a soda while I was at work. So it was pretty easy for me to cut it out because it wasn't a huge part of my diet anyways. And now I might have one soda on the weekend or something like that, but you know, for the most part, I'm not a soda drinker. So I think that really helped. It also helps with weight loss too. So I just didn't think I needed all the stuff that was in soda in my body, especially when I was, trying to focus on balancing my hormones. The next thing was, and the last thing that I have written down was tracking my ovulation. Tracking your ovulation can tell you a lot of things about your body, not only your fertile window if you're trying to conceive, but if you are like me and you want to regulate your cycle. I just thought it gave me more information, you know, to see if my body was doing what it was supposed to be doing. So since ovulation, my cat's toy, it's kind of silly, but anyways, since ovulation is pretty well almost directly related to having your cycle, I wanted to see if there were any changes in my ovulation. If I was ovulating without having a regular cycle, I think that would not only give me more information on what my body is up to, but also if or when I ever went to see a doctor about my irregular cycles, I would have more information to give him saying, yes, I've been tracking my ovulation, whether that's via an app or taking ovulation tests. That would just give him as much information as I could take or as I could get for him, so he would be able to familiarize himself with how my cycle is. So I started taking ovulation tests in December, I believe. It was pretty close to when I started taking all of my supplements. My main thing for ovulation testing and tracking my ovulation was to see if I was ovulating so I could get pregnant. Like I said, it also really helps in just tracking what your body's doing. And if you do have spikes in certain if you do have spikes in certain hormones, that's really important too. So I started tracking my ovulation, and how I did that was, one, I downloaded 2 different apps. I downloaded the Ovia app, which is incredible. That's another suggestion I make, is to track your cycle, even if it's extremely irregular like mine. Put in the date of your last period, all the information you can, and allow the app to give you any information that it can. There's a lot of good resources on apps too that'll link a bunch of articles, different forums of females who are in the same situation as you. And also with the Ovia app, you can go in and add how you're feeling that day. So that way you can kind of check your hormones as far as mood swings or anything like that. Just seeing if you can detect any kind of pattern in how you feel could also give you some insight on what your body is doing concerning regulating your cycle. So getting back to tracking ovulation, I just went on Amazon and got an ovulation predictor kit. Now, this is not the initial one I got. The initial one I got came with pregnancy tests and ovulation tests, so it was an ovulation test predictor kit. But I obviously don't need the pregnancy tests as much as I do the ovulation tests. So this last round, I just bought a box of the easy at-home ovulation tests. So what they are is they're individual packages. You take them out. There's just a little strip that you either pee onto or you dip into a sample of your urine, and there are directions on what you need to do, how you tell if you're ovulating or not. So one thing to remember if you are checking your ovulations with ovulation test strips is there is always going to be a control line and then your test line. And to get a positive ovulation test, your test line has to be as dark or darker than the control line. So unlike a pregnancy test where if there is 2 lines that show up, it means you're pregnant, with an ovulation test, there can sometimes always be 2 lines that show up. You just have to pay attention to how dark that test line is. So for me, there is always 2 lines that show up. And that's what I do. So after I take them, I staple them onto a piece of paper. I write the date next to it. Once they are used and they dry up, they kind of all turn the same color. So you can't really refer to them very well after you've taken them and they're, past the window when you need to look at them. So that leads me to tell you about the app that I have downloaded, which is called Premom. Premom is an app that the Easy at Home suggests you to download. And what it is it tracks your ovulation and your cycle just like Ovia does. It doesn't have as many options as Ovia does, like when you go in to add how you're feeling that day, if your back hurts, what your CM looks like, all this kind of stuff. But the cool thing about the Premom app is after you've taken an ovulation test, you can add that test into like a diagram, and you just go in, you put add ovulation test, and it will actually take a picture and scan the strip and then assign it a certain ratio of LH, which LH is luteinizing hormone, and the luteinizing hormone is what surges when you're ovulating. So it will give you how fertile you are basically, and tell you when you're close to ovulation or are ovulating. So that is what I use. I've recently just bought some of the clear blue ovulation tests. Now there are 2 of these. There is the pink kind, which tell you if you are ovulating or if you are not ovulating. And then there is the clear blue advanced digital, which you have to use prior to you thinking you're ovulating to set a baseline for your LH. And it actually goes, it's based directly off of your own body. So it detects what your base LH reading is, and then it picks up when you're getting a spike, so a surge. So it's very much individualized to each person. I should have got those because not only does it tell you more directed towards what your body's doing, but it also gives you a 4-day idea of when you're about to ovulate. So there's a no ovulation, there's a high fertility setting, and then there's a, oh my gosh, it's your ovulation day setting. So I'll probably end up getting those after these. But those are my tips to regulating an irregular cycle. I will update you guys at some point if I do get my next period, but I really think that the steps that I took played a huge part in me getting my period back after coming off birth control. It's really important to do that even if you're not planning on getting pregnant, because your body should be doing that, and if it's not, then you need to take steps to make it happen. And I just wanted to try everything I could naturally on my own prior to going to my doctor and letting him know what's going on. I do have an appointment in April to have him kind of figure that out, particularly with conceiving, and hopefully we can figure some stuff out. So I hope that was helpful to you guys. If you have any questions at all, please drop them in a comment below. I'd be happy to answer them if I have any suggestions, or I can let you know it worked for me. Or if there is something that worked for you that I did not mention, please comment it below. I am always looking for more information to just help myself be more informed on what's going on. So let me know how everything worked for you, and if you guys have used the same supplements, let me know if they worked in your stories. So anyways, if you liked my video, give it a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. So far, I've done a lot of fertility, infertility related videos. I plan to do a little bit more. I was going to make a video on my kitchen and my living room, so like a country house tour kind of thing, but I just had a lot that I was doing on my day off, and when I got done with it, I just wanted to sit on the couch. That's what I did. So anyways, if you liked it, subscribe, thumbs up, and I will hopefully make another video this week, and I think it's going to be on what I did with my wedding bouquet of flowers and turn them into house decor. So that video should be coming up. It will be much shorter than this one. I have a tendency to make long videos, and I need to really work on that. So anyways, thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.